Hello, good evening and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The top stories. Implementing the National Strategy for Social Protection. And on the international news concerning the bombing of Kabul, the city is in mourning. Thank you for joining us. The 30th African Union Summit, which began on January 22, is entering its final stage with the arrival of heads of states to pursue the ongoing reforms, the fight against corruption and migration policy are some of the topics on the agenda of this plenary meeting, which will also see the Guinean Alpha Condé pass the baton of the rotating presidency of the Pan-African Organization of his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame. The headquarters of the African Union in Addis Ababa was on its 34th year, with the 55 flags of member countries floating in the wind to welcome delegates to its biannual summit, which opened on January 22nd. This meeting began with the preparatory meetings pending the arrival of head of states, including our President, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, and from 22 to 23 January, the Permanent Representative Committee, made up of ambassadors from 55 countries, met to conduct a first screening of the work in progress. Then from 24 to 25, the Executive Council, composed of the foreign ministers of countries of the continent, took over to finalize the priority files, including that of institutional and financial reforms of the AU, coordinated by the Rwandan head of the state, Paul Kagame. And now continuing with the national news, the State Secretariat for National Solidarity, in collaboration with the World Bank, organized this Sunday in Djibouti Palace Kempinski a workshop to implement the National Strategy for Social Protection 2018-2022. The workshop was attended by members of the government, including the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, the Minister of Economy and Finances of the Ministry of National Education, representative of diplomatic corps, international organization secretaries general, and directors of various institutions. The aims of this strategy is to put in place an effective social protection system for the poor and vulnerable, developed and validated during a participatory process that brought together the different partners. This strategy particularly targets the most vulnerable. This is why the State Secretariat for Social Affairs has previously targeted vulnerable populations in order to enable them to benefit from these programs. And speaking for this occasion, the Minister of National Education, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, and the Minister of Kenya, Musa Dwali, said that the goal of implementing a strategy of social protection should address these gaps through development and ensure currents and complementary of stakeholder interventions. And for her part, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Muna Usman Aden, reminded that this national strategy of social protection must also set priorities for interventions in the field, and given the constraints of the scarcity of resources devoted. After the meeting with the communal councils of Djibouti City on January 14th, the ministerial delegate to the decentralization organized yesterday in Arta a technical meeting of consultation with the executives of regional councils of the 5 regions of the interior. On this occasion, the prefect of the region of Arta, Abdullahi Draroukiye, and the president of the regional council, Ilmi Bouh, both welcomed the minister in charge of decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, his staff, and the presidents of regional executives from other regions. In his opening speech, the minister delegate in charge of decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, first expressed to the audience his best wishes for this new year. He congratulated the presidents of the regions for their presence at the meeting, which demonstrates their commitment to carry out their missions. He then recalled the purpose of this technical meeting, which focused on the assessment of the past year, as well as discussions on several topics, including the civil status, regional development plans, and local taxation. He recalled that important activities were undertaken during the year, including the development of a code and a financing mechanism for communities that will be the subject of a national validation after the general statements of the planned decentralization in the coming months. A meeting took place today between the National Commission of the Communication (CNC) and the Independent National Electoral Commission (CNI). In the menu of discussions appeared the collaboration for the future legislative and its transparency for effective elections. One of the main prerogatives of the National Commission for Communication is to ensure the respect for the equitable access of political parties to the media. Other mission of the CNC are to oversee the order time of the candidates to elections. An intergenerational meeting of sports that allowed hundreds of people in different nationalities, all generations come from different origins, met to participate in a race that took place last Friday for the fraternity with the theme of this year, All Brothers, All Sisters. Through this noble and emotionally charged initiative, it was the occasion of these encounters and these moments of joy to set up a social awareness platform and the promotion of solidarity and love for one's neighbor in order to create a fair and equitable world for all. It is rated in a calm and relaxed atmosphere that a race for fraternity is organized by Carita at the outlet field, more precisely on the road connecting Heron and the Poor. This race is organized by Carita Djibouti together with the Arresli Association of the District 2 and the Council of the Civil Society of Belbela, all enthusiastic to contribute to the success of this day rich in sports. Still in sports, the Djiboutian Federation of Taekwondo organized Friday afternoon at the Hassan Gouleidi Stadium handing out equipment to different clubs in the capital and regions. Practicing this sporting as well as the event brought together on the spot the leaders of the federation, in this case Mrs. Fardousa Moussaïge, the sport director Mr. Abshir Ali Hassan, as well as other officials and of course several young representatives of Taekwondo clubs. The young learners of this martial art presented to the audience some exercises of the discipline. In her speech, the president of the Taekwondo Federation stated that she received these materials from the Taekwondo International Federation chaired by Mr. Shu. According to the president of this discipline, Fardousa Moussaïge, big projects in the framework of the promotion of discipline are in progress in collaboration with the International Federation of Taekwondo, such as the construction of a dojo in Obok for the practice of the rising sports throughout in Africa. In the international news now, the Afghan capital was on high alert this Sunday morning after an attack that had left 95 dead and nearly 200 wounded yesterday. The alert level that has been in effect for the last 10 days was at its highest level in Kabul on Sunday, the day after an attack that left nearly 100 dead and 200 wounded. The presidency decreed a day of national mourning, calling on public buildings and foreign legations to bring flags and announce the day of for Kabul Monday to care for the wounded. The area of the attack in a large perimeter around are still completely cordoned off. The attack took place in a street supposed to be well protected. The attack, one of the worst in Kabul in recent years, is the third week in the country after the attack on the Intercontinental Hotel on January 20, and that one of the NGOs Save the Children in Jalalabad last Wednesday. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.